Now, in our human capital strategy, I want to talk about under human resources for recruitment, hiring, and deployment about what's really happening. Our human resource department looks very carefully at putting the best people, you got to hire them first, in the right positions and the right campuses based on the right data. A large part of our recruitment strategy is actually the city of Austin. So it makes a difference. When the city is doing well, people want to come here. Now, when we kind of transition a little bit into the hiring of them, they are interested in just a very well thought out compensation package. It's not what keeps them, and I'll explain a little bit more about what keeps them here, but it's the compensation package. And we have split that out into 4 big categories: a base salary, benefits, professional development, and working conditions. And so once a teacher is actually recruited, hired, and then deployed, and then we look at the quality of how we treat them as an employee in their total compensation, they will ask things like, or tell us what they care about. They care about the quality of the campus leader, job advancement opportunities, professional development. And then we found that they'll look at things and they're interested in strategic comp and those types of things. But at the end of the day, they are really, especially in urban settings, looking at their working conditions, how they're treated in work. And remember, lots of these people are my green feelers. So they've got to feel good about the work they're doing. They like being in settings where they know they can stay and be successful. And if we have the right kind of career pathways approaches, they can move up and around in the district doing other things as they grow. So yes, they may change their job 5 or 6 times. I'd like for them to do it, especially if they're really good, within my own system. So it's okay to start off as that paraprofessional who then gets your teaching license and moves into teaching and then becomes an AP or a principal or a coordinator, a curriculum director, or even the superintendent. People have to know that there are pathways to be able to continue their success if they're to stay in a community and contribute while at the same time having a great experience in the school system. So I'd like to see them take all that investment that we put in them and stay within AISD because it does have a bigger payoff. Now, the last piece, after I've talked about human resources and our educator quality portion of what we do for human capital, there is a last piece which I think is a little unique for the approach in how you think about human capital. And for us, it is around technology. We are finding that it is, of course, a new educational environment, and that the 21st century did indeed start a decade ago, and that those teachers and professionals that are really preparing our kids to be successful in college life and careers after graduation absolutely must know with absolute terms that we are providing the tools to them so they can then provide the tools to our kids. So we have 4 big components to our technology strategy, but there are 2 that I think will help change our approach to how we're doing human capital in our school systems. It is a digital learning platform, and I'll explain what that is, and the other one is a performance management platform, and that's the one I want us to talk about. For the first time ever, at least in our school system, and other districts are more developed than we were. We had a couple of failed attempts at getting this organized. But our performance management system allows us to integrate human resources with finances, and here comes the part that most districts will not do. Tie it to student performance and assessment data, and start looking at the crosswalk between those people who teach and lead our kids in schools and classrooms and the experience based on academic outcomes those kids are having in our system, and then tying it to other decisions we make. Do we have the right people with the right kids? Do these people know the kind of programming we need to have in place in those buildings? Are those principals the right folks to lead if we're going in X direction, and so on? The other piece of that platform is the digital learning platform, and that's the one that I am very excited about, where it allows us, when we do link the student performance piece with academic tools for a teacher, those teachers can change their practice in real time based on the information that they're getting in what we would call formative, qualitative at times, but some quantitative data, and putting those tools in the hands of the people who are working with our kids every day. Most teachers will leave us if they feel like they are not supported. And although I'm a huge proponent of better compensation for teachers, I've never worked in a district where I think they're compensated well or at the level that a community should support and compensate teachers. And at the same time, they will tell you that they value the same thing, and there are other things that we could be doing that they would press less on the compensation piece if they knew they were getting the support to be a better professional. And I haven't met a teacher or a principal worth their salt that doesn't care more about that as a starting point than any of the other things. And we should never take advantage of that sort of mindset so that we don't have to do more around compensation. But I do know that they typically start there, and when we do bring those worlds together, the idea of recruiting, hiring, and deploying them in the right places, then ensuring that they have a solid compensation package, giving them the tools they need through technology and other support services, that our human capital strategy, at least for teachers, is as strong as it could possibly be. Now, we're not there yet in AISD. There's a lot more that we need to do. Remember, in addition to those 6,000 teachers, I've got 6,000 other employees that I'm not even close to sorting out the appropriate human capital strategy for them. But we do know, again, in our business, that when we are supporting and producing high quality outcomes for our families and kids, mostly in academic preparation for college life and careers after graduation, that these things that we do to support our teaching staff is what will pay off for student learning every time. I know that I am at my 1 minute, and I'd like to thank you for your attention this morning.